The EU mod collection steals the show. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. We're gonna start things off with them because look at this, Orchid Pearlescent Les Paul Custom for 6,400 euros. So first things first, it's a custom. You've only got one humbucker on here. You don't have any type of a pickguard. Sure, we've got a bit of a nasty gouge right here in our top, but you've got the white styled knobs with a Nashville Tune-o-matic and stop bar tailpiece setup with this kind of interesting pearlescent pink hue. The whole pink and white vibes reminds me of a modified Les Paul Vixen series guitar. However, you're going to notice, looking at the fretboard, this is not just a regular Les Paul custom. Outside of only having the one pickup, it's also got the Super 400 inlays. And looking at the full body shot, nothing else too special. Or is there? Look at that headstock. It's actually green. Okay, so it must be like a pearlescent green coat that kind of comes and goes depending on your lighting situation. But knowing what we know now for how the headstock plays, look at the body again. I see green on the binding as well, so I wonder if there's just a green pearlescent coat over top of all of it, or maybe they just did it on the binding. Because as we switch on over to the back, you can see they put a Moto backplate on it, and the rest is pretty much just that kind of dull pink color. But you can see a little bit of green going on here, maybe even on the neck. But hey, I forgot, this is the EU mod collection. They take more photos than usual. 100% confirmed, you've got that green pearlescent coat over top. But then they also had bright metallic green SG Standard 61 for 2,200 euros. Nothing too crazy here. Looks like a satin green refinish. They ditched the pickguard, left the tenon cover, gave you P94 pickups with your Maestro Vibrola unit. But to me, it looks like this week was all about tinting the headstock a different color, because that looks slightly purple to me, or maybe it's just a particularly purple mother of pearl inlay. But whoa, this one didn't even start life as a Vibrola one. They capped off the stop bar studs. But then the interesting podium gold non-reverse Thunderbird. They give you the whole racing stripes thing and a clear see-through pickguard. That works incredibly well since you still have your little Thunderbird dude over here. I like that. It looks like we've got some sort of a surround on our bridge pickup, but gold and black works well together on one of these. But whoa, the return of Super Ultra Thunderbird dude over here. If I remember correctly, at one point in time, there was a Les Paul custom that they did up with the same design on the back. And then I believe there was also an SG. So I suppose there's a third one within the collection now. I like the way that it goes over top of their design here. And then, of course, they threw a stinger on back here. I didn't even know to expect that. I didn't look that far into it before today's episode. That's why you watch the show. I click through all the photos so you don't have to. And nice, look at the headstock. Kind of a similar stinger pattern, but not. Then they just masked off the Gibson logo and let the gold paint underneath show off. Wow. But then we've got Blue Soul Train Satin. Seems to be a relatively basic 50s Les Paul standard, except for they gave it kind of a very dark blue color, but then left the back kind of an ambered over color. And then the return of Kachinaru Forest for 3,100 euro. A very, very dark green, slightly metallic satin finish with a matching headstock on this one, just ever so slightly greened with the black tuner tips. And I expected nothing less with a matching green back. But now let's check out the USA mod collection. They had a decent week. We'll start things off with the Lilac Luster 59 reissue for 6,500. It's a very, very small discount. Very untraditional, let's just put it that way. It's a really sanded down purple finish, so you get the natural wood coloring showing through with that. But yeah, for some reason they put a Nashville style bridge on it. They must have messed up the ABR1 route. And then they paired it with gold hardware and black speed knobs. And as far as the headstock, they reamed it out for Grovers. They gave you Gibson USA plastics, but you might notice we're missing the Les Paul model silkscreen. Flipping over to the back, it looks like maybe Demo Shop Serial 123, but you can confirm your Grover tuners, but it looks like a full-on gloss refinish on the back. Although I'm having a hard time telling, is it black or very dark purple? We can confirm here it is ebony. But this one's pretty interesting, Fleur de Purple. So I'd imagine it's a really dark purple, but they've got this little swoosh. It's like two Nike symbols on your guitar. Yeah, it's interesting. I would have never thought of doing that, but then they match it with the pickup rings being silver as well. And all right, we had a little bit more fun back here. Continuing on your swoosh. And they gave you a super ultra extended stinger with a little flower stem over here. So in case you're not familiar, Fleur de Lis talks about this lily symbol here. It's all over super fancy art guitars. So ultimately, I think that's what they were going for there. But then you have a complimentary Les Paul Modern in Navy Galaxy. So this one doesn't have the swooshy swooshies, but it's like a nice dark finish with blindingly white plastics and a see-through pick guard. I really enjoy this one, and since it's part of the Les Paul Modern series, you also get the mother-of-pearl inlays rather than acrylic. And of course, don't forget about the poppin' white binding too. And then, hey, look at that. Natural back and sides, just a little bit more ambered over, matching moto backplates with tiny, teeny little pearl buttons for your tuner tips. Man, those would probably be uncomfortable. That's the first time I've seen them use that exact styling, but they are still locking Grovers. But here's a 59 reissue that was about $2,000 cheaper in forged gold. It just kind of reminds me of the old Gold Bursts. But this one still has the ABR1 bridge. They just knocked off our pick guard, gave you some new ambered knobs, left your tuners alone, still for some reason gave it a Gibson USA truss rod cover, and removed your Les Paul model silkscreen. But this one is Demo Shop 137, and it appears to be a satin refinish. Although it appears to be a gloss top, but if you needed something a little bit more traditional, that's a good top. It's got the mineral streaks, it's got the super even flame up and down. I mean, it looks relict without being relict. That's just the cool nature of the wood grain. You don't have the pick guard installed. Looks like they gave you the double cream 57 Classics. You can always add that poker chip back again if you want it. There we go. They finally didn't steal the custom shop truss rod cover, but they did steal the Les Paul model again. But let's find out what this peach stinger's all about. Okay, so aniline died, but you've got a peach stinger. It's Demo Shop Serial 136, but how did they do that finish? Like, it looks like you can still see some of the wood grain, but that's such a creamy looking finish. I'd be interested to see that all over like a Les Paul Special, but they wanted a small premium on that, $6,900. Then there was also a 57 reissue custom for a little bit less. 57s are constructed out of all mahogany. There's no maple top to them, so you get to see all the cool mahogany wood grain. It really does change the whole vibe of the guitar. I would love to see a sandblasted 57 Les Paul custom. Here's a quick example of something that PRS has done in the past. You can have a whole bunch of different colors, but it accentuates the wood grain in a different hue. But otherwise, it's just that really bright cherry color all over. I thought this one was interesting. 54 standard reissue in camelback brown. We'll have to take their word that it's actually brown. It looks black in these photos. But you've got your ambered over knobs. They upgraded your bridge pickup to a dirty finger. So kind of Jeff Beck styles with having the humbucker and wrap tail. But I love that super ambered over binding. And as is correct for a 54 reissue, you've got the low logo. But man, where's all the Les Pauls going? And they must have a surplus of these USA covers. And the back is completely matching. If you're thirsty, there was a Spicy Cider 335 at $3,900. Kind of a brownish hue with black plastics. And the back is completely matching. But if that was too boring for you, how about purple metallic? Yep, great use of gold hardware and the double cream pickups again. Certainly not the one you'd probably take to your jazz gig, but hey, that looks like a fun neon rockabilly instrument. And appears to be a gloss finish, top, back, and sides. But now we go back to tradition with cherry red gloss. Looks like you're going for like a 64 reissue style, but within Gibson USA's products. They put a Bigsby on it, covered over your stop bar tailpiece studs with the custom-made plaque. Then you've got your Nashville-style bridge with a subtle but yet very present flame top. The finish kind of dulls it down, and you get pretty much more of the same on the back. But how do you feel about Black Cherry Sunrise for $2,800? As far as tri-burst colors go, I think it looks nice. So it started life as more of a cherry sunburst, but then they added this black border to it in perimeter style. But then you still get your teardrop here, and you've got a see-through style pickguard. And then they upgrade you to the super ultra hot dirty fingers ceramic pickups. You've got the witch hat knobs. And then, whoa, nice. That actually appears to be a red metallic back rather than our usual red coloring. So think ruby red slippers, and then you're there. But then there was a modern studio in flat black satin. It had about a $300 premium to it. They give you the old voodoo style knobs. I would have liked to have seen more red coming through to match those. Like they should have sprayed over the logo red. That would have been perfect. But nope, seems pretty basic in black, but hey, at least they gave you a full-on hardshell case. Yeah, they also had a dark purple satin version, but woo, $600 premium. But they give you a P94 in the neck, HP style knobs, really nice dark, but yet still purple metallic finish. Nothing really looks changed here. Man, if I did not know these things had black binding, I I don't think I would see it. It's just so dark. But this one also gets a case. So now, demo shop time. This was the best thing all week. One of the AMS exclusive Ocean Waters. It's one of my favorite finishes from the current era of Les Paul, so you can check out a review I did here. But this one, yeah, you got a pretty good discount on it. It's kind of a unique top. Like, it's not what would come into my head, but I could still see how someone would fall in love with it. My biggest thing is, not a big fan of the double black uncovered humbuckers on this particular one, but that's easy enough to change when you're getting a discount. I wouldn't worry about it. This is one of those tops that would really come to life, and the back's pretty nice. So a rare opportunity to buy a dealer exclusive from Gibson. But they also had this interesting left-handed SG with a double pickguard situation going on. And then they had a 59 reissue. It was an alright price for one of those, nearly $2,000 off. Kind of reminds me of something Slash would play. It's a relatively plain top, but it's still got some figuring. And not everybody wants the most crazy top in the world. But it wasn't drilled for a pickguard. Here's a cool model, Doves in Flight for $7,100. I love the Gibson Dove. Never been a big fan of the Doves in Flight. It's just a little bit too fancy for my tastes. Like, I love the original Dove design, but these other ones, they're a little bit more detailed. I like the simplicity of the originals, but you get the abalone trim, as well as the abalone rosette. Or this is my favorite thing about the Doves in Flight. It gets its own peghead veneer with a bunch of doves on it. And yeah, they get super fancy with their tuner tips. This is the super ultra fancy boy of acoustics. But then there was also this 345. I just thought the cream plastics worked really well with that cherry colored finish, as well as this SG Special, similar color. But I chose this one to show you because of the neck. It didn't get dyed as much. And on vintage originals, when the neck gets played a lot, sometimes that'll happen. So it just reminded me of a true vintage special. But then there was also a Les Paul Supreme for $1,000 off. I enjoyed the top of this one because, yeah, it's flamey. But it's the mineral streaks that give it the character. You know, you got a dot there, streaky, streaky, streaky. Because by the time you get to the back, it's covered over in black. You don't get to appreciate anything else. And then this 335 in Pelham Blue sold quickly for $2,900. As a Friday afternoon release, look at this lineup. You got another one of those 80s Explorers in classic white. It's the other AMS exclusive finish, the Honeyburst. I have not documented one of these, and that top is not too shabby, if I do say so. It is quite tempting. I was shocked to see one of these, a custom shop Dave Mustaine. Those were $7,000 brand new. They spiked a little bit at first, and then they kind of fell down. They usually sell below retail, but $5,500. This one was number 33 and had some finish blemishes by our ferrules. And another one of these Silverburst 57 reissue specials. That's always a lot of fun to see. A Lefty Gold Hardware SG Standard 64 in style. And lastly, the EU UK demo shop. They had a handful of new listings. The only thing that stood out to me in the UK side was this USA Firebird. $1,600 is not bad at all for one of those. And then the European shop, again, they had like 3 or 4 new ones. But this is all that stood out to me. A beautiful 355-59 reissue. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's recap. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.